Hi everyone, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name's Jess. I'm one of our client success leaders at AirTel, and I was the business champion for the Candidate Care app, so I'm going to take you through today's webinar. If it's okay with everyone, I'll just put everyone on mute so there isn't a lot of background typing and whatnot, but periodically throughout the webinar I'll unmute everyone so you get a chance to ask some questions. So I'll just do that now. So in today's webinar, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the Candidate Care, how the Candidate Care app came about and what the key features are. I'll show you how to install the app, configure the settings, configure an alert, and also talk through some example alerts about how you could use the Candidate Care app, and also, of course, go through any questions that everyone's got. The Candidate Care app is basically, it's used to send bundled email alerts to users or email addresses of people involved in the recruitment process. We created this app in conjunction with one of our clients who really wanted a way to be able to send emails, basically one email alert to a specific user rather than one email per application. As we've already got a feature called timed application actions, that can be used to send individual emails for each application that's been in a bucket for more than X days. It's a great feature if you want to be able to send emails to a job seeker, but it's not so great if you want to be able to send reminder emails. So perhaps you've got candidates who are in a bucket for more than 10 days and you want to be able to just send one reminder email to maybe the recruiter to let them know that their candidates are hanging around and not being processed. The key differences about the Candidate Care app are that you can self-install and self-configure the app with no involvement from the client success team. Of course, we're here to help and provide any assistance, but it is pretty straightforward to set up. You can configure as many alerts as you want to. You can create escalation chains so that if applications aren't processed, you can escalate to the next level in the hierarchy. Cool, so we've just had a few more people join. Just to those who have just joined, I've got everyone on mute at the moment. I'm just going through some background information at the moment, and I'll unmute everyone periodically throughout the webinar so you get a chance to ask some questions. So you can also send reminder emails. So maybe your alert has been sent out to the people in the escalation chain, but still nothing's happened. You can send reminders every 1 or 2 days or 3 days, however often you want, so that no application gets ignored, basically. The app bundles emails, so you only receive up to 1 email per day, or you can choose to send emails on specific days of the week. So perhaps your recruitment team shouldn't be doing any recruitment on, or your HR team or your manager, whoever. Perhaps they shouldn't be doing recruitment over the weekend, so you can choose to just send emails Monday to Friday, or perhaps they should be focusing on recruitment on a Tuesday or whenever. You can set the app up to just send emails on those days. Does anyone have any questions at this stage or anything else that you'd like me to talk through in terms of the background? Nope. Cool. I'll mute everyone again. Cool. So first of all, I will take you through to one of our it's basically our app testing site, and I'll just take you through how to install the Candidate Care app for the first time. Oops. Sorry, just a second. Sorry about that. So I'm logged into one of our testing sites, and I have the permission Manage Users and View Apps tab permissions. So I can click on the Apps tab, and that will take me through to where I can see all of that have been installed. So you can see I've got some installed apps here. If I want to see apps that I haven't installed that I might want to install, I can click through to the App Store. So here we can see I'm on my Apps tab, and I can see my installed apps. If I want to browse apps that I haven't got installed, I can click Browse Apps. I'll click All, and we've got our Candidate Care app here. So if I click on that one, I can see a description of the app. I can see some dots about what the app looks like. I can go and watch the app video, and we've also got a documentation URL as well. So I can click Install, click OK, and this will install my Candidate Care app. Once we've got the app installed, the next thing we'll do is set up the global settings. The global settings control who should be available as participants in the escalation chain. So we've got options for the different people in the recruitment process, the days per week, and when the app should send emails. Sorry, my internet's going a little bit slow today, so it shouldn't normally take this long to install. Cool. So we've now got the Candidate Care app installed. I can click Open. Cool. So you can see we don't have any alerts created yet. And I could click here to create one. But before I do that, I'm going to go check the settings and check what global settings we've got enabled. So you can see the first one here is allow the following people to be in the escalation chains. So as a default, we've got manager and recruiter selected, but we could also select category and email. So manager is the manager who's associated with the job. Recruiter is also the recruiter who is associated with the job in SnapHire. Category is a little bit different. So if I select category, it's going to ask me to select the applicable category. So this is presenting the profile categories on your SnapHire site. So we created this in partnership with one of our large retail clients, and they actually associated email addresses with their location addresses. So just to give you an example of how that might work, is you might have a location category similar to this one. So we've got New Zealand, North Island, Northland, Kerikeri, Whangarei, Auckland, etc. And each of these location values, we can associate an email address with them. So that if I had a job at the Queen Street store, the first reminder email would go to the Queen Street store email address. If it was then going to be escalated, it would go up the location tree. So I'd go from Queen Street to Auckland, and then I would go up to the North Island branch, and then if it was still not actioned, so if my candidate still hadn't been processed, we'd eventually get to the New Zealand value, the country manager, for example. Sorry, just going back to my global settings. So that's the categories one. If you did want to use the categories option, you would need to provide the appropriate email addresses to our client success team, and then they would load them against the profile category for you, and then you'll be able to start using that. Email address is maybe the last escalation would be the HR manager, for example. So you could put in an email address here and then use that in your escalation chains. So I'm just going to select all of them for now just so we can have a look, and I'll just enter my email address in there. Next we've got send on. So by default we've got Monday to Friday selected, and you could also choose to send them on Saturday and Sunday if you wanted, or perhaps you only want the alerts to be sent on Mondays. You can untick the rest. And then we've got send at. So this is in UTC time. So I think because of our time zone, it's basically UTC is 12 hours behind. So we've got 12 p.m. UTC, 9 p.m. UTC, so we can change that if we wanted to. The below options here you don't actually see, so it's just because I'm logged in as an Airtel user, I can see a couple of additional settings. I'm going to unmute everyone now. Does anyone have any questions about that global settings tab and how it works? No? Cool. All right, well, I'll mute everyone again and we'll move on to setting up an alert. So I've clicked on the Alerts tab, and as I mentioned before, we don't have any alerts configured yet, but I can click here to create one. So it's really straightforward. We just need to name our alert. So maybe the first alert I want to set up is about candidates who haven't been processed in the incoming bucket. So I'm just going to call this one incoming bucket alert. I need to select a workflow. So I'm going to do this on our default workflow. If you do want to do it on all of your workflows, you'll need to set up separate alerts per workflow. Next, I need to select the bucket. So I've mentioned that I'm using the incoming bucket, so I'm going to make that selection. And then we need to select the threshold in days, so number of days before the first alert is sent. So if I have a candidate who applies, they're going to be moved into the incoming bucket. It's going to count each day 24 hours after that time when they applied. So I'm going to say, I'm going to put it as 6 days after they first applied. And then if they're not processed after a further 3 days, I'm going to say it needs to be escalated. And we're going to send reminders maybe every 2 days. So if it doesn't get processed, we're going to keep sending reminders. In this one, I'm going to put manager first, and then if they don't process it, I'm going to escalate to the recruiter. And then I need to add a message text. So I'm going to say, please process your applications ASAP. You can put whatever you want there, and click OK. Cool. So we've now configured our alert. It is inactive, so I'm just going to make it active, and you can see that no jobs need attention at the moment. You've also got some summary information there as well, so you don't need to click into the alert to see some basic information about it. You can also click on this little icon here, and you can copy the alert. So if you did want a similar alert for the different workflows, you can easily copy it and then just update the workflow. You can delete your alert as well, and you can edit your alert there. We've also got some summary information about when the alert will be sent. To add another alert, I just click Add an Alert, and it will keep adding them there. Does anyone have any questions about how to add an alert or activate or copy or anything? Okay, cool. Well, I'll move on now. I'll move to our example demo site and just show you some alerts that I've already set up, and then I'll show you an email example as well of what the alert email looks like. So on the demo site, all of the data in here is all example data, and I'm just going to click through to the Apps tab and then go through to our pre-installed Candidate Care app. Cool. So we've got our example app here. You can see it's sent every day at 10 a.m. UTC. We've got a pre-employment checks alert, an incoming applications reminder, and a manager review reminder alert, and they're all active. You can also see that in this more realistic example, we've already got some jobs on our demo site, and quite a few of them need attention. So I will have received emails about these these alerts, but we could also come into the app as maybe an administrator and just see an overall picture of what's happening with our jobs. So I can click on the 9 jobs that need attention, and it's going to list those out for me and also let me know how many days they're over the threshold, and also let me know what level the escalation chain's at. So if it had been sent to the second person in the escalation chain, so my previous example would be first sent to the manager, and then if it's not actioned after a further 3 days, then it would be sent to the recruiter, and you'd be able to see that in the level that it's in. So we've got, you can see we've got lots of jobs that need attention in the incoming applications reminder there. And the other thing that we can see as well is the logs. So if you're wanting to know about what emails have been sent, or maybe wanting to check that emails are sending correctly and just, seeing what's going on, you can check the logs tab here. And you can see that I've activated and created alerts, I've updated the settings, and it's also sent some escalation emails. You can click on the log details to see the detail about the jobs that were alerted about, and also who they were sent to. So that will help you identify any issues if you think that emails perhaps aren't being sent or anything like that. And you can see again on the 30th of April we had another 5 escalation emails sent, and you can see the details of who the alerts were sent to. In this webinar we can also see a couple of additional tabs up here, but when you log in you can't see these. It's again just because I'm a system administrator, an Airtel user, I can see a couple of additional options there. So just go to a couple of questions. So yes, we are recording the webinar, so we will send this out to everyone so you can check things from the beginning if you didn't make it in at 10 o'clock. And can the alerts be set up after the application's closing date? We don't want managers to receive alerts before closing. That's a tricky one. I think it does start from the day that the application was started or was submitted or moved into the bucket. So potentially if you only want it to start counting after the application close date, it might be, the only thing I can think of off the top of my head is perhaps not having the alert on the incoming bucket, but then maybe once the application close date, just selecting all of the applications and moving them to the next bucket, and then having that the bucket that the manager should be looking at, and have the alert work off that bucket. So if the manager then doesn't review the application, say within 10 days on that second bucket, then they will start to get reminders. But I'll have a think about that, and I might have some other ideas that I can email through afterwards. Okay, so we've had a look at the Alerts tab, Settings tabs, and Logs tab, and now let's go and have a look at an example email. So we've got an example email that I received from our demo site, Democo. This Democo here is actually the tenant name, and it's just got the candidate care alert there. So we've got the different alerts in different sections in the email. So scroll down and you'll see how that works in a second. So the first one is the manager review reminder. So it's got please review the screened applications and move the applications into the applicable status. It's on the manager review bucket in the workflow standard. You can see we've got a link to the job that'll just take you to the overall job, and then some key details about the job, and then also the number in the bucket that are overdue, I guess, over the threshold. Another thing about this link here is this link will take you directly to the applications in the applicable bucket. So it won't just take you to the job and then you need to click through to the bucket. It will take you to the actual bucket that this alert is about. So you can see that we've got 2 jobs that have candidates overdue for the manager review bucket on the standard workflow. If I scroll down, we've now got a pre-employment checks alert. And so we've got quite a few jobs here for the pre-employment checks alert that are overdue. So you can see it is a lot better having them bundled. So I'm not receiving individual emails about all of these different jobs. I receive one summary email. And the reason I'm receiving so many jobs is that I set this one up to go to the email address jess@airtel.com, and that was the first person in the chain. So I received a lot of alerts about a lot of jobs where in reality you probably would only receive the ones that are appropriate for you. So if I wanted to click through, I could click on that link and that will take me directly to the applications and the pre-employment checks bucket. Another related enhancement we've released recently is being able to change the order of the applications in a bucket. So it is a default for the entire site, but you can choose to have applications ordered from oldest to newest, where previously all applications were always ordered from newest to oldest. So if I'm looking at my list of incoming applications in the incoming bucket, say I've got 80 applications, the first applications I'm going to see prior to this change would be the newest applications, where in reality you might want to see the oldest applications first, so you're screening those candidates first before you get to the newer ones. So if you did want to change that default, just let the client success team know by emailing hello@airtel.com, and they can just change that, and that will just change for all of your buckets on all of your workflows. So that is the Candidate Care app at a high level. It is quite a straightforward app. It's designed to be quite simple and easy to configure and easy to set up and easy to understand. Does anyone have any questions or anything that I haven't covered that you would like to know more on? If you do have any questions, definitely feel free to give us a call or email hello@airtel.com if you get stuck. The idea is that it is really straightforward and doesn't require a lot of kind of training materials or anything. So at the moment we don't have any refresh desk articles except for one that describes what happens if you uninstall the app. Basically you lose the alerts that you've pre-configured. But if we get a lot of inquiries about certain things or common questions, we will add some FAQs into the app, so you'll have that information within the app. If you do have any suggestions on some changes to the app, feel free to add those suggestions to the forums in Freshdesk, and then we'll review them. The idea is that we'll keep updating our apps and adding new features in as we come to them. Melissa, our relationship manager, has also just asked me to mention that we've got a couple of other events coming up if anyone was interested. In Auckland, we've got a UDO event at 4 p.m. on Thursday, the 10th of May. If you're interested in going, let us know. We can provide some more information. And we've also got a CV check webinar from 1:30 till 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 3rd of May. So that's later on this week. And that'll be someone from Airtel and CV Check talking through how the CV Check app works. Does anyone have any other questions before we leave it for today? No? Cool. Oh, well, thanks everyone for joining. I would recommend that you just give the Candidate Care app a go. You can't really... There's no real risk installing the app. It's free. Why not? Give it a go. If I were you, I would even just add your own email address as the only escalation option for now, and just configure an alert, have it just sending to you so you can experience the alerts, see how you feel about it, even before sending them to other people. So just give it a go. If you've got any questions, get in touch and we can help you through it. Cool. Well, thanks, guys. We'll end it there and talk soon. Thanks.